Yo, what's up guys? I guess everyone is kind of familiar with the Gojo on Dark, which has Aoe Oblivion for 2 turns, plus AoE Stun, which is really strong. And it's one of those units that kind of put Isis in the trash, where Isis was kind of trying to do that, but then fails horribly. Well, to be honest, the Gojo can definitely fail horribly as well. If you watch Glorious streams, which was one of the first few players that actually picked up that unit, if you do miss your Oblivions, it's really bad. But the unit is actually super strong, and it's not necessarily super strong in RTA. It is really strong in defense. I would argue him to be one of the strongest arena defense units out there, just pairing that up with a Vanessa Triton +1 and then this thing. Very simple right there. But there's actually a free-to-play version of that right now as well, or free-to-play, an easier-to-obtain version, which is Triana, which is the combination of a Triana and a Diana. I have no clue. Either this one does have Aoe Oblivion as well, so Judgment Storm is a pretty lengthy skill, but compares the HP of the enemies and allies on the field. And then we go for enemy targets, we attack them and reset their attack bar, and Oblivion for 1 turn. So it's a 1-turn Oblivion rather than a 2-turn Oblivion. And I did notice there's a pretty big difference in that, even though you fully push back the attack bar. Also, this unit is wind, so therefore hitting on fire is a little bit more difficult. But you also have the part that if for allies, the target will be increasing their attack bar and recover their HP proportional to your attack. That's very strong as well. Plus, skill 2 does have AoE Death Break. It is not a full chance, though. It stays at 70% chance. But then it's also a 100% chance for a stun, which minus resistance check and those kind of things, but still pretty strong. Then on this one, we have this weird skill that we decrease the enemy. If the attack bar is not decreased, we increase the attack bar of an ally. Kind of funny, but where is this actually used? Is this going to become a Vanessa Triton Triana +1 kind of defense? Well, the answer is actually yes. Like, I did already see a few of those using that in Inter-Server. So if we go to Inter-Server right now, this is the highest wind right there. Did not actually use it. But there was one which was from Meow Meow, which is actually normally a very much LD abuser. I think that this is the... Or is this Meow Meow? I'm not sure. Looks like Meow Meow. But this is actually rocking 8 wins right now, which is fairly strong, I think. So let's actually set that up myself and let's see how good that will do. So currently I have an idea of maybe rocking something along the lines of this, which has a little bit of usability. I did do a little bit of testing back and forth already, but let's go for the obtainable version. Okay, so this is the team. I did run the Vanessa as a triple shield just to counter Lucifers and kind of things, but it's focused a little bit more on damage and just a little bit more speed rather than just a full tank. You could go full tank. Triton, as mentioned, is just super fast. Not gonna show that. That's all you need to know. The Triana actually went for a crit rate in the 4 and an attack in the 6. Let me actually check her multipliers, because I did see her hit before. She has not that bad on attack. She's not hitting that hard, so let's actually check multipliers. So we can still check the multipliers over here. 5.5 on an AoE is not that bad. It's not particularly high or anything, but it's also not super bad, I would say. But could be a little bit higher. So therefore I'm not 100% sure if like the crit rate and the attack bolt is the right way. You definitely want to go high accuracy, and the accuracy is fixed for the S3 in the artifacts over here. And that's just the main thing we go. Left side is a little bit combination of additional damage lines and that kind of stuff, but let's just see how that works out. On the other side, we do have Venton, pretty typical RTA kind of style Venton build with additional damage by attack and then just some pushback, some accuracy and that kind of stuff. So if it's for inter-server or arena defense, let's say, first of all, arena defense. The main thing that you want to be countering on normal arena defense is, of course, the Lamilla team. So let's first try to hit it with the Lamilla team and then try for inter-server, that in the case you were to use this for inter-server. Also against the Leo Feng Yang team, because Leo Feng Yang team is pretty much one of the most common things out there. So let's actually hit this first with the common version and let's see how good this would do. So in the case that you don't do any strips, of course, I insta-win. That's just name of the game. Like, if the Triton derps, you win. So let's actually go for a rotation where Triton is not an absolute potato. Thank you very much, Triton. So can we land that? Did miss 1. Okay. Let's see how far we get with missing 1. So we do get our pushbacks and the Oblivion. Did actually not get a full Oblivion and pushback on the Pheromones, which is pretty bad, I would say. We get some decent damage in from this right away. We do get a push or like an armor break potentially. No armor break in this case. So since in this case I am not silenced or I'm not actually landed on you, doesn't go for the S2. If it went for an S2 right there, I would have had a lot better damage in already. Okay, I get an additional turn. With the additional turn, I would say that I'm having a slight bit of favorable RNG right now. If we can get this, yep, okay. But now we start cycling on the Veramos, and this is where we start killing things. So in the end, did that work out? Not really. But it still took like about 8 wins on the other team. So let's see if RNG goes bad or RNG goes normal for the defending team. So, okay, landed everything over there. Did miss the death break. Did also instantly proc into an S2. That is where it goes into dangerous territory. That's where this becomes absolutely dangerous because we're doing 7k per hits on that over there into an initial turn. Yeah, my whole team is looking kind of dead already. So that is what it's supposed to do against this team. And this team, in the end, at the bottom over here, is one of the strongest offense in the game for a very long time. And if you hard counter that by just a few additional turns, you're already looking at a pretty substantial good team. So yeah, the Oblivion over here makes it pretty interesting. Because also, let's say that we were to go for the typical Feng Yang kind of style team. And let's first go for the Feng Yang team with a normal version as in the Veramos. And then we will try it with the Seimei as well, because of course the Seimei version is a lot stronger. Well, maybe because of Oblivion, not really, but let's just see how far we get on this. So do we get the pushbacks? No pushback on that. That's always kind of bad, because if there is no strip on that, I will start to move at some point, and then you just have like the, what's it called, going in. Yeah, you have can't speak. You have your cleanses going in. Yay, cleanses. And then from here, it's relatively easy, seemingly, and that kind of stuff, right? Well, match ain't over just yet. We still have some pushback potentials. Yep. Okay, we could have actually done our skill over there. That is an option as well, to get stripped and death broken on you. That's definitely an option. Against this, I think it's still a little bit on the more difficult side. But let's see if we have a Triton rotation where Triton does actually go for pushback right away. I'm not sure if with procs, a team like this can instantly go for kills. That's also the interesting thing. If your team is lower, it's not actually going to go for Oblivions and pushbacks, but it's going to go for heals, which makes Triana very all-round as well, which is definitely a very nice thing right there. So if we get this death break right now, plus a stun, that's a very good position stun right there. Do take out your first life. Let's see. Death break is still seated over there. If it were to transform right now into an S2, that could be, yep, okay, that's one dead unit right there. We can go into this protection right now, but if you come with a Mega Tsunami, yep. Okay, I was probably not playing it the best of possibilities on offense. I think I did not do an S4 on the Alaya the moment I could have done it, but you already see like the strength potential of this team. And once again, this is full non-LD5 units, so this makes a lot of options to get closer towards being representable where people could actually use it. In the end, I could say that this is still one of those teams that, yeah, it is still clearable. Like that's definitely the fact. Like you can see that I was able to clear this, but I could also see if RNG goes really good on the defending team, which is definitely a possibility right there. So let's say that we go for an S3 into an additional turn, or S2 into additional turn, S3, instant armor breaks, instant stuns, you start proccing once or twice, we lose the Varamos, we even like nearly lose we do lose the Varamos right over there. So yeah, those kind of things can happen, which is actually fairly strong. So I can definitely see the potential of this team being really successful in a lot of shapes and ways, especially if you do get the Oblivion right now on you. Because of having the Oblivion on you, let's say that we don't have the cleanse for you. If we do not have the cleanse for you, we don't have anything for you. In a world where that was the case, then yeah, the Leo team against Oblivions is kind of rough as well. That's definitely one of those things that you don't really want to fight, because now he's just lapping so much more. And I would say that this team has a lot of potential for defense. If we're talking Siege, I'm not 100% sure yet where you would like to place this on Siege. Definitely next to an AoE strip, but if your AoE strip is going to be a Triton as well, I don't think so, because then it's a little bit too heavy on the same element, so you're more leaning towards like a Moor maybe, or like a Joe Gun. I'm not too sure on that kind of stuff already, like what you kind of would like to add with that, but definitely a strong defense unit. Might you then also ask, say, would you use this unit in offense? Well, in all honesty, I don't really think so. Like, for the offenses, sure you have a pushback, sure you have Oblivion. Only one that I would say that it might be good against is those heavy Camilla teams. So let's actually see if I can find a super heavy Camilla team, because in the end, would you like to use it against this? No, you would probably not push back the fires, and then it's already ass. So anything that has some fire team in there is already kind of bad. Plus, you want to have an outspeed, and the unit doesn't provide anything towards your outspeeding mechanics or value or anything like that. Because in the end, speed on the unit is not bad with a 103, but it's also not crazy high. So let's see if we have a full-on turn 2 team somewhere that we can find with a whole bunch of Camillas. And otherwise, I'll just set up my own Camillas, I guess. Yep, can't find them. So let me place up my own Camilla. So full-on Camilla team would be looking along the lines of, let's just go Ariel, double Camilla, and Leo or something. I don't know. That's one of those weird teams that you do see from time to time. And a Leo. So what could we do against this? Well, of course, we do want to give that a try with the new units. So I think in this case, since the Leo's already there, let's go for a Triana still. We will definitely go for the new units. You know what would actually be really strong with this, Daniel? Which is the... Which I actually will try it in a siege hit in a second later, because that might actually be pretty strong and pretty interesting. Does have an attack lead, which is pretty nice. Then I would say we still want to go for a Galleon, and the Galleon I can make on whatever, like, will, because these two, or like these things will hit you. And then final nuker hit. What is our choice of a nuker hit today? Well, let's go for a Pong Beat, just to stay in like the free-to-play kind of range. Okay, so let's see how this works. So I did rune this up, not really to anything interesting, because if you want to use this in offense, you probably want to go on fight runes on this. But if you want to use it for both offense and defense, it might look something like this. I had to slow it down because I made you a triple fight. You are a double fight will, and we put some decent set to a Pong Beak today. So close to 300 crit damage, a little bit of attack. And then let's see, I don't care about this whatsoever. Let's see if this is actually something that I would say is like, sounds good, sounds good. So let's see. First of all, we're going to do this into this right here. Yep, we have all of those landings. Galleon is a good Galleon today. Then we have... Interesting. So that skill doesn't work if a Leo moved in front. Did not know that. That's actually fairly interesting. So that's something you have to keep in mind. And we're not even killing that. I should have probably sent on that. I kind of want to see a Pong Beak hit the full hit on that. But what we could also do is, like, we remove the Leo and then we just go for water ball. I don't care, anything. Just to have the idea of this hit actually moving it. Because, yeah, you do have to move first for that actually to work. That's also why for RTA it's less of an interesting unit, because there's more potentials of things cutting in and that kind of stuff. So in this case... Wait a minute. Why are you not doing your S3 on the enemy when a Triana moved in front? Is that a Triana issue right there? That is weird. That is hella weird. Let's try a different strip. Maybe that's just a Triana issue right there that you start doing. Sounds kind of buggy though. Or maybe I have to do some damage on the enemy first. Yeah, maybe that's the case. Maybe you have to do some damage on the enemy first. So just next to a Triana, it doesn't work. Interesting. Did not actually know. As mentioned, did not really plan to do this on offense, but kind of wanted to showcase what he could do. So let's just add in a... Well, let's just go for my Triton. I just need a strip because I have Galleon moving after right there anyway. So let's say we use Galleon. Because of Galleon, enemy HP is a little bit lower. And then we can go for this. And then if we go for this right now... Yep, now it does actually work. We also have you lapping. Not really a necessity. And then we can go for hard-hitting nuke, 77k. So, can kind of work, but does not work with Triana. So that's definitely a thing to keep in mind. If you place it with Triana, does not work. So that's also then, therefore, the siege hit that I wanted to do isn't as good as I thought it would be. But I still want to give it a try with a Daniel. So a hit could be this, for example. If a Triana would have worked, it would have been better to go for Triana over here. But in this case, let's just go for any kind of strip into this, into you. Yeah, with 6 Fire runes, it procs more and you don't need artifacts. Would recommend to put artifacts, just for the idea of like seeing if this actually does look strong or not. So we can go for the pushbacks over here right now. It will be harder to land that on fire, so maybe it's not that great to use it into a fire unit. And then we can go for this, which is a pretty substantial hit at that moment. So plus then it's Oblivion, plus then they're stunned. So if you want to use this in any kind of offense, I would say Daniel's probably his best friend. That's definitely what I could see over here in this. I got Oblivion myself, haha. Also one way, Oblivion on that too. And more Oblivion on you, how about that? Or this is probably the moment. No, they actually have lower. I did give attack bar to myself. And then we can go for this. So yeah, I could see this having some value for a offense. Would I use this in an offense without this as a full damage? Probably not really, but you probably have some, like if you want to go for a more bruiser AoE CC-ish kind of thing, could maybe be a thing or something. But I would rather put a Changpong in her position than anything. But to be honest, I think she is pretty substantial for arena defense. I think we're going to see a lot more of her in arena rush, and we're going to see a lot more of her in inter-server arena defense. So definitely those two places. So let me know in the comments if you do like this unit or you would like me to showcase any of the other units and what kind of team you would like to use it in offense or defense yourself. And see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.